Welcome everyone to another episode of Beyond the Den. Today, I'm excited to have a well-respected crypto native and Wolfgame community member, Neil Bodl, on the show. He's an original minter of Wolfgame, and he played a crucial role in engaging the community through its first Twitter Spaces. Neil is no stranger to the highs and lows of the space. Having experienced the hard knocks of a wallet hack, Neil's journey is one of resilience and determination. Coming to us from Ireland, please welcome Mr. Neil Bodl. How are you, my friend?
Really good, yeah.
You've been in Wolfgame since mint, correct?
Oh, yeah. I minted not enough. Wish I minted more, but I minted and I'm still holding those sheep. I've always been a kind of sheep maxi. I bought a few sheep on the secondary and kind of like, you know, was playing the market up from, I mean, like from the 0.0 somethings up into, and once they started to hit an ETH, I was like, oh, I'll just hold what I have and shearing sheep and minting new ones, flipping them, like that little phase there, the excitement, the Discord, the way things were kicking off. And there was nothing I felt like it. Like I hadn't experienced something quite like that before. The kind of on-chain economics of it. And I was like, this makes so much sense. So when there was an exploit in the contract, which meant that people could mint wolves, just wolves, so they could like type in kind of mint wolf instead of the randomization. So when that happened, there was quite a rocky kind of patch. That was such an interesting time, you know, and because spaces were kicking off, you still had major investors waiting because there was so many assets locked into staking. And then when the team decided to lock off unstaking, that's when there was like this like serious short squeeze, basically, you know, that way. And I just, everything about it I found fascinating, and I kind of even loved the element of that short squeeze and the ability for that to happen. And even it was after that we seen some other kind of big names like Pixelvault like announced their kind of the dynamics of their staking and stuff like that, and it still wasn't quite as interesting as what Wolfgame did, the way they managed it when they announced the risky game, and like that was so enjoyable. Like I really enjoyed that. Like, you know, the banter on Twitter about like, you know, as a sheep, I think that was when it really solidified me on the kind of sheep side of things. I was like, no, Wolfgame's always going to allow for the little guy to win. You know, that's what's always going to be interesting about it, you know. I think you could see the Shepherd's ethos really coming true at that point, and the way he managed stuff, stayed completely silent to the real adverse reactions and stuff, and just kind of like steered the boat straight, you know. That always just impressed me, and that's when I was like, really, right, I'm here for a long time, I'm gonna embrace this. I had been talking to Beanie a little bit and kind of, you know, like being a reply guy, I guess. Then he came on the spaces with Metapunk, and it just that was a serious kind of you know, like I had just kind of started doing spaces, and that's what kind of, between those two things, kind of trying to kind of go, okay, right, I'm gonna take on and be like take on a Wolfgame persona, use it the same way I have seen everybody use their brands from the Bored Apes and whatever different project, CryptoPunks, everything like that, and embrace this project, because I really always seen a long-term kind of vision in it, you know.
The conviction is interesting. Like when that exploit happened, I remember seeing it and I was like, all right, it's over. You know, I'm such an idiot. I should have sold that. 6 ETH, I'm like, I was a little beat up prior to that too. I think it was like October, I lost a fair amount. So I was like, yeah, screw NFTs. This is so stupid. This is the one project that I really fell in love with, and there was an exploit. I mean, figures. I had Icy Tools at the time, and I had access to Gary Vee's purchases, and I started seeing him buy all those wolves. Do you remember that? And it was I was like, holy shit, dude, this guy has crazy conviction. What is going on? So he was buying 6, 7, 8 ETH, I believe, at that time, and that really strengthened my conviction. And Risky Game, I remember Bri DeSanto, he was just kind of coming up. He had some really super interesting posts. He created some spreadsheets. I'm not a big numbers guy. I kind of leached off of his spreadsheets a little bit, but he made my decisions easy. How many sheep did you have doing Risky Game?
So I had 5 for Risky Game, and came up like 4 out of 5, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like super lucky. Nice hefty pouches. Yeah, that was such a good time.
Yeah, man, it really was.
Like the announcement of pouches, like having to explain it, like it comes like, we all, like a lot of the people who are holders of Wolf Game understand pouches so easily, like, but it's in those onboarding moments that you're kind of like, wait, like it's quite a complex NFT, there's a lot going on to be able to wrap in a token in and use it the way it was used was at the time, like, was super interesting. It was super novel. Like, I haven't seen anybody use one in a similar way since, and pouches just fly under the radar in that sense. I think, they're very much
they're like an annuity. It's crazy.
Like very innovative. Like, I knew it was possible, but I'd never seen a use case for it. And then when pouches came about, it was like, wait, I can see a lot more use cases for this now. That way, like mines, like you have a mine in any game you play on your, say, mobile or whatever. Clash of Clans is one of my favorites. And like, that's just a mine, isn't it? And you upgrade it, put more tokens into it.
And it allows the creator to create holders for life, and for Shep to understand who his real holders are, because it vests over 4 years. And then the fact that he doesn't take his pouch until the end of 4 years. I mean, that was huge for me to hear that. When I try to explain the pouches to people, they get it, but then they're like, well, why didn't you just sell when it was at 50 cents? And I'm like, well, that's the thing. That's the thing about the pouches. Like, you can't touch them for 4 years. And then they're like, oh, this is ridiculous. Why would I want that? And I'm like, you just got to slow down. They drip on the daily. But in this space, there's so many flippers. They just can't wrap their heads around something long term,
See, I had my pouches taken, so that was a big hit for me. I'm like, so like that took a lot, because I was a pouch maxi. I had put a good bit of my wool drip into picking up more pouches and that sort of stuff. So I had way over 1 million in pouches. Oh no, it was around 1 million in pouches at that time. So now I'm down to, like, I've been picking off pouches there for a while, and I think I just reached 100k again, kind of locked. So I'll try and just keep that up for the moment. Liquid wise, I've just been actually targeting the pouches now, because it stops me spending the wool.
So true.
Because if I had a stack there, I'd probably be boosting with farmers. Get this little guy done, So I have to be careful with that there. And like, this is stuff I used to talk to Steezy about back in the day. I can see the reason, and I can see why it went to 80% on the pouches at one stage, that way. Like, up above that, like, because they're an incredible asset. like they're a vesting machine. It's incredible, like really. So yeah, and there was a point where I was more bullish on wool, but now that we're spending it, I'm more bullish on pouches. And
Yeah.
the more it gets burnt, the more bullish I am on pouches.
Yeah, and just zooming out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
Always
I mean,
zoom out,
this
yeah.
game is a zoom out. So I don't think you can go wrong with wool at all.
I've been using all my wool. Like I've been using my wool to breed, to get farmers. I waited a while there for my pouches to build up, then took that wool and it's all gone into breeding, you know?
So you're basically then playing the farmer's market?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not heavy. I only have 2 farmers, so generally use them and then rent out farmers.
Yeah. How soon do you use them in the breeding process?
Oh, yeah. So I've been waiting a good few days.
Yeah.
At the moment, I suppose I've like been leaving them open a bit and, you know, kind of jumping in and out. With that burn, I find that the lower farmers are just not usable nearly, you know, that way. Not at 600 wool because they're 800 even at 1,000. So I find myself like booking the larger farmers more often.
Okay.
Because they're just
What's
better
that
value.
price differential?
At the moment, you're looking at like, what is it? It's under 700 for a regular average Joe. Then the diesels are what, 1,100, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, they kind of go up from there. I've definitely enjoyed watching that market bounce up and down, as well as the other markets. The other markets are fascinating. To have just watched them bleed so much, and chops kind of, I suppose, reign supreme still. I know I've seen a lot of grass maxis, and I was definitely a water maxi at one point. But I got in early, used my farmers, boosted, and got like just right at the start, used boost on a farmer and changed straight into chops. So that was the move at the start for sure.
I would agree. I was very heavy in chops early on, and then I just saw water just be abused, and so I shifted all of my chops into water. Looking back at it, it was a little too early, right? I mean, it's like, how much further can these damn chops go up? I feel like there needs to be some sort of correction, and maybe that correction is going to happen when they introduce upper level tiered structures, right? And then maybe, also peak games.
Peak games, items, different stuff like that. I definitely want to see a lobby game again, like cave game, where you can use your energy that way, and having multiple routes for that sort of stuff. I think it would definitely be game changing, you know, that way, even if it's to try and pick up credits to play the game for people who maybe have spent their sheep. They can still use them in that capacity every 24 hours, maybe something like that. I don't know, but to kind of give some other longer playable game for the smaller players, I think is key, you know. Yeah,
Cave Game was unbelievable, and
so good.
I don't know, I just think if he puts out a better Cave Game, I don't know, I feel like we're going to attract back the ones that left, and then also some new players. Yeah. And you can't imagine that is going to be too challenging because the framework has already been laid out, right?
Yeah, it's and you know what I kind of did there a few days ago was I was going back through tweets, like rereading, like from when the game was being built, you know, before Cave Game and stuff. And you can really interpret stuff a bit different, seeing how Peak Game and the full Valleys has launched. Like, it's definitely been in building.
Yeah.
And the plan has been solid for quite a while. You know, that's what I've definitely find fascinated about the whole. Like, this could go a lot bigger, obviously, you know, that way. And it's always been very hard to predict what route Shep's taken. It's just so impressive. So impressive. And it makes me just mega bullish, you know. I did, like,
Yeah.
I still have my stack of chops there, you know, close to 1,000. So I've always been trying to poach some big wolf to do a breeding for me. See if I could give them.
My A7 is kind of just chilling out right now. I don't have any chops. I have a fair amount of resources. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, looting it's been okay. It's kind of I'm getting a little, not sick of it. It's just, all right, well, you know, what's next? Because again, you get into this habit or this cycle of just looting and not necessarily knowing what exactly for, other than in hopes that they're going to be worth something in the future. I do know that there are some whales that are getting a little tired of that for sure. But breeding, the first reason why I didn't breed early on was because I didn't want to get caught breeding when peak games would be called. You know, because we didn't know when it was going to be called. Do we have to take them out? What's going on with that? In hindsight, I wish I jumped in early on. But now looking at the markets, I mean, that probably wasn't the play because, you know, there were dens going for, what, 150K wool just for a breed. I still think those dens need to come down.
Yeah, I haven't been watching that. That's still pricey, isn't it? Because
it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make
sense.
Yeah.
No. And I know Corey jumped on early, but he owns dens. So it's a different story when you own. The dens, unbelievable. I think that Payman, I think he landed like 2 dens, dude, pre-reveal. I mean, like...
And you know, I was only looking, he has like a really nice, clean Gen 2, wolf.
Yeah.
Like he has a really sweet one for sale. Like I was eyeing up, but I just can't make it happen. Looking, it has the intelligent glasses and it has the Secret Society chain.
I could see you rocking that.
It was sweet for me, you know. It was just like, oh, I like
that. Yeah. That's what's so cool about the game and the aesthetics of some of these wolves and even the sheep.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that there's a buyer for everything. I think the snowboard sheeps are just sick. I love those things. I love the visored ones. I love the cyborg freaking farmers. I mean, from a PFP standpoint, from just a look, I don't think you can beat it, right? From a pixel art standpoint. So I don't know. At some point, just based on looks, I think we'll start getting some interesting pull. But everybody's so fixated on the game moving so fast, and I think we just got to continue to be patient.
I think the point of the game is slowness now at this stage, and these kind of, you know, slow and steady. The returns for sheep now is just great in some communities. Like I stocked up on a ton of stone there over like a week, and I was just so shocked at the level of stone I was getting for energy on one of my little baby sheep. Like I think the EV is always going to change. Like that's part of the game. That's what was exciting about it. It's just with more pieces, with more complex games, the EVs are just completely changing. Now we're in a bear, it's affected it more. But I think now is the time where we can take advantage of that. People who keep on playing are going to definitely end up better off, is what has always worked in Wolf Game, and that's what I'm going to stick to, you know. Like, and when you see the investors in Wolf Game, it's just such a no-brainer in terms of like they're seeing what I see in this. They're seeing how, like, time and time again, even the farmer reveal, the farmer mint, the way that was done, I thought was brilliant. You know, land was maybe a different story. I know that there was a lot of people who, like, say, minted land on the Dutch auction because they didn't get in the initial Wolf game, and kind of seen that and got very sour about it. Like, but
Like the
it's a Dutch
timetable.
auction. It is what it is. Like, you know.
Yeah, and the timetable too. It took for Shep to deliver that. What was it, 10,000 wool? I remember just, periodically people would come into the Discord and be like, where's my wool? Where's my wool? And it's like, dude, calm down.
Funny. Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. So I have a lot of respect for you in starting the Twitter Spaces. So did you actually host the first Twitter Spaces? Was it a collaborative thing? Like, how did that all come to fruition?
So I think it was me and Farmer Ron kind of hopping on and off Spaces. When Farmer Ron would have one, I'd jump in straight away, notifications on. Oh, Ron's on, let's jump on quick. Then Metapunk came on to one of the Spaces. I can't remember if I was hosting, because I'd host and he'd jump in. Maybe I'd send him a message, or throw it in the Discord and people would hop in. Metapunk hopped in, and then it just happened to be at like whatever time it was on a Tuesday, and he was like, okay, so from now on at this time someone's gonna host a space every Tuesday. This is what's happening. And then it just went from there, and someone would just jump on and host a space, but I put myself forward to kind of consistently be there when there wasn't, on a weekly basis. And I had a huge amount of fun doing it. Yeah, it was so much fun. It was always good analysis from different individuals in the community. Like, some have left, some are still here. But yeah, it was always just great to kind of connect with all sorts of people that really appreciated Wolf Game, and yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
The community element was just so solid at that point. I think,
That's where a lot of our success came from, is the community.
OpenSea even recognized that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And then NFT New York, we were voted best community too. I mean, that was a cool award that many don't even know about outside the community. It was really cool to watch you get better and better as a host. You did a good job at really letting people speak and kind of finish their thoughts, and made it non-intimidating. So when I used to listen to it, I used to enjoy that. But then I watched some of your YouTube videos with Layer Cake too, and I found those just fun to watch. Like, Wednesday, 10 a.m., I'm just going to throw this YouTube on while I'm driving and listen. So I really appreciated that, man. So that motivated me to want to do something. You've been a big kind of pusher for that for me. So I just want to say I appreciate that, man.
Well, cheers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, I suppose in Ireland and certain places in America at that time, there was still like that lockdown wind down was still happening.
Right. Yep.
So you had a lot more time at home to kind of post to those stuff. The YouTube videos, they were a lot of fun, especially the ones with the guests. But even just that kind of, but we burnt it out. Like, we were going nearly every night at one stage. But with the game, if there had been an underlying mini game to keep people entertained, I think that like Alpha Game would have been so much more successful. Looking back, I think we should have concentrated doing short-term content of just that like initial segment where we run down through the teams and do that bounce back, or I should have been trying to put them up on Twitter in like 30-second segments, like, because they were there was really good information in it, that way, like, and
Right.
we were breaking down like what teams were giving the best rewards throughout, like what was going on, even kind of behind the scenes. Because I think because we were doing that, we got a little bit extra information here and there, and we were like dripping it to people. I got in trouble a few times for kind of saying stuff before people wanted it out there. But yeah, it was. It was certainly fun. I would like record them late at night, then go straight into editing, get it done, and then upload it the next morning. So it was
you're like, I gotta get this
schedule
done
to stay relevant. Like, we were just so enthusiastic at the time, that way. And yeah, Layer Cake is he's a fun guy,
Yeah, that's cool. Alpha Game was such an amazing idea. Obviously, that dragged on too long. Overall, I think people were just exhausted.
Yeah.
Every part of Wolf Game really has had a different effect on me. When you used to run the Twitter Spaces and the YouTube channel, things like that, that was a pretty dark time in my life. My fitness business was closed for 6 months, and the government coming knocking on the door saying, "Hey, listen, you can't open for 6 months." And when you have 2 kids at home, and you're like, you have no income coming in, you're like, what the hell am I doing? But I would use Wolf Game kind of as like, was a release for me. That's why I think I'm just so attached to this game and to the Shep and the community.
Because there's economics involved in the game, it can give a chance to kind of steal from a whale, maybe, or like even now we're playing Peak Games beta, and like I can't wait to get matched up against some whale and like beat them, like, and then you're sharing that on Twitter. People are like, "Oh,
Right.
yeah, like that's cool." I really like that aspect. I have to say the game's probably overall now much more ready to cover content wise than when we were kind of speculating in spaces. So many people were going through life transitions. Like shout out to Metapunk, and congratulations. He had a kid and had the whole experience going through that. He would mention it. He's like, oh, my wife's pregnant, I'm not going to be around as much. And we've seen Term get engaged. We've like, there's a lot of kind of figures in the community have grown in different ways, and they shared that with the community, which I really respect that sort of kind of
Transparency.
stepping out and sharing that, and Bri got engaged as well. And so it's cool to kind of watch those different, I guess, figures of the community kind of go on and see life goals being completed and stuff like that. It's always been a quite a committed community. I'll give it that.
Pretty cool too to see a lot of the bigger community members branch off and kind of do their own things too, or join forces and go full time in the Web3 space.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they have these opportunities, and when they kind of like, with Bri, he particularly is a smart ass dude, and how he would break things down. And I love the dude's energy. So I just, he's actually going to be coming on the show, which I told you, super stoked about. He's got his hand in a lot of different things. We need more of that. We need more of that energy to reignite this flame, because even a lot of the OGs have left. Unfortunately, I'm picking up some assets off of them, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. So it never feels good to be buying at these points. I believe that in 6 months to a year, we're going to look back and be like, dude, I was buying sheep at 0.09 again. I mean, it's crazy. There's a full energized sheep for 0.09 Gen 0 on the floor right now. It's like an addiction. You're like, oh my God, and then you're like, oh no, I gotta hold on to my ETH.
I know, dude. Yeah.
But then you could even look at the peak credit value of it too. The energy alone. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, there's so many opportunities. I started looking at pouches again.
It's extremely complex. Like that's and throughout it, it's remained that you can play the market, you can play the game, and at different points they have worked out for people. Do you know that way? There's people that have been playing the market throughout and have done extremely well. You know, they might be hurting on some of the downfalls, but like overall, I'm sure they're really happy with Wolf Game. Like when the wool pool opened up back in the day and I was able to shear my sheep and like sell 20k wool for a few $1,000, I was doing that, you know, that way. And then I bought up wool at 20 cents afterwards with after I took my profits to what I would have had. And then you had your pouches, you had stuff roll out. Like, so there's lots of opportunity for people to get into the game and get out of the game. Like after Risky Game, I was getting pouches at, I want to say 0.25 for like 2 sheep Risky Game pouch. So like what, like 500 and something K pouch, like back before they ran up and wool started running up. I know I haven't looked at pouches in so long. I don't know. I haven't been buying
pouches. I've been looking at the moment. Pouches right now. They're at like 45% discount. If you look at that, I mean, wool's been brutalized.
I was getting them at an 80% discount at the time. But wool was a higher price. So
exactly. So think, right now, I think it's at what, 0.0045, which is just crazy. So then almost at a 50% of that, you're getting 0.0025 wool. I mean, that's a huge discount.
It is when it goes back into cents. Yeah, absolutely. It's
and it keeps you from selling wool too, which can be a good thing. From an investment standpoint, when you have liquid wool, you're a lot more suspect to just say, all right, like, I'm selling this, and that's like, I'd almost rather the lock because it keeps me locked in per se. So
I definitely learned huge amounts from watching the markets of Wolf Game in every different aspect, from when, we had full game launch with the chops, grass, water, stone, watching how the market fluctuated for land for those assets and how different ones were kind of standouts to produce more. Like, so, like, I know I have, like, in a community that doesn't have much water, I have a land with, I think, maybe 2% of the water, which it has been built up, like Community 32. Like, that's actually ends up being quite a valuable land when you can multiply it with a farmer and those sorts of aspects, especially early in the game. Before that, the market corrected, the pools corrected with chops and stuff like that. But the learning to play the game, even from just having a few sheep, I think it would be invaluable to anybody who is into NFTs, digital collectibles, crypto, and Web3 in general, because they're utilizing so many different tools. When you look at the pouches, you just load in your wallet. So they're getting around doing transactions to burn wool, which means we can burn more wool, which is what everyone wants. It's just, I just have to feel everything's, obviously market conditions are terrible at the moment, but like everything's moving in the right direction for me. With the game, that way. Again, look, I am a minter of sheep that I still hold those sheep. You know what I mean? So I've managed to take profits in all sorts of ways, and I still hold those sheep.
Yeah, so, that's awesome, dude. If you have some balls, and I just think so many people are illiquid, especially a lot of these whales, like they've been really burnt. A lot of these huge sweeps. I mean, think about Seed Phrase. I think he's been pretty burnt in the grand scheme. he's making a fair amount of wool and ETH in the swap shop, but we also don't know how much he has invested. So it's like,
yeah.
It's crazy. So when do you think that might happen again, when we start seeing these whales start sweeping again? Is it huge news that comes out? Is it ETH that just skyrockets?
It seems like a massive accumulation phase to me across crypto. And I think we're going to see NFTs continue to bleed for a little bit more. And then there will have to be an event every day. We'll start to see tokenization of certificates and qualifications, and then
like real world assets, or
oh yeah, absolutely. Like well, real world assets. It's a sheet of paper. It's recorded by the college. The merit in it is the college, not the paper. So. It's the same as it being on chain, a certificate or a degree or something like this. And I think that's really being rolled out massively. And fine art is kind of like, I know we've seen the Christie's auction there. Like there was not a lot of interest in it. But I think that, like I didn't even know what was happening. And I think that was the case with a lot of people. Christie's have their fees, the market conditions are bad. Like everything's waiting at the moment for the world economy to see where it stands and some event to happen. And like a lot of markets aren't going to move until something pops, in my opinion, that way. I don't know what that is. I think that's the point. You'll never know. Like, but when it happens is you want to have accumulated before that,
So thinking about the past, and you've had some hard times. I remember, what was it, last summer when I found out the news that you had experienced a pretty significant wallet hack. And I know it's kind of a sensitive topic, but could you share a little bit about what happened? And I mean, obviously it crushed you,
Oh, yeah. It was just, I've been suffering from a bit of health issues as a result of COVID related stuff. Like I think for a lot of people it maybe brought some health issues to the forefront. For me it was with my ears, and I had some bad ear
like
issues.
Vertigo, or
initially they burst, and then it that kind of led to short period of deafness, and then kind of like really sensitive hearing, and having to retrain my brain how to connect the new balance centers to the sound and recognizing different stuff. But it's a slow enough process. The most reassuring thing I heard was like from an astronaut that had something similar happen when he kind of came back into the atmosphere, and it took him 2 years to get back to where he felt he was healthy. And I'm hitting that 2-year point now myself, and I'm really starting to feel like I'm back to myself in terms of like NFTs, Wolf Game. Like that saved me during that period of time, because it gave me an outlet, like a social outlet that I wasn't physically able to go, say, to the pub and meet up with people, or go for coffees in busy environments. It was a lot more tougher. It took a lot more out of me than being able to put some headphones on and talk with people on the computer. I had started to kind of really recover. I was going to see a consultant about my ear issues, and took my eye off the ball. I was on my phone. I got tagged by a Bored Ape I recognized. I didn't check the tag. I clicked on something, press mint, and just wiped out my wallet. Lost anything that wasn't staked in NFTs, but it didn't take any tokens, but it was my NFT wallet. So I was heavy in NFTs at the time, and I had just got dropped the G Money Admit One, and had you know, all my pouches, that sort of stuff, my Pixel Vault bags and some Gary V NFTs. And yeah, it crushed me, really, really crushed me. Um, the community managed to kind of, I think, keep me in NFTs. I was going to walk away completely, but there was some there was some people that talked me down off a ledge, like selling everything and quitting crypto. There was definitely
Yeah,
some
dude.
people that kind of, you know, were like, look, dude, you know, like you've made the connections you've made, you have the knowledge you have. The next time round, the next bull market, you'll know what to do when you didn't this time, you know, and you'll be able to take more advantage of situations that you recognize and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And then also just the connections through Wolf Game of having that with people. Like, you know, I got to chat to JMO a lot, like who's such a super cool guy. Like I got to know Steezy so well, Jay Steezy, you know, and having and even like being part of the kind of G Money Alpha Game staking with that team and that kind of community element. Like it was super enjoyable getting to know even small members of the community like Devil Wolf and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just
Yeah.
little people that like were maybe intimidated by the main Discord, but like shone out then when Alpha Game kicked off, and you know, and that was always a push of mine, I suppose, in those spaces was those little holders getting smaller holders vocal, but they were, yeah, a lot of people reminded me of that, and just like, you know, you still have your sheep, you know, and then the shepherd sent me a pouch I hadn't claimed as a reward, and you know, Metapunk gave me his one that he had got, and I was just like, right, like let's just stick true. And I continued doing spaces for a while, but I think like for me it was when there's not that same amount of value like in something like I suppose as a like I suppose it would have been different if I wrote it down and I decided to myself, you know, that way, like, and I'd look at things differently, but it was just so hard to separate myself from it, and I just couldn't keep up the spaces in that regard. Like, time wise, it wasn't worth it for me. I wasn't able to kind of go, well, the NFT space is kind of rewarding me in this kind of way on a consistent basis. Um,
Yeah.
so I just kind of had to wind it down. But also, there was three other spaces going on at the time that I wound down my kind of weekly go at it. They just happened to kind of, I think, fizzle out quite quickly afterwards as well, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
after the hack, I had to kind of reevaluate IRL and get back to a position where I was able to start investing money into things again, because I had hit a point at that stage where I was able to tone down my work and take more profit and concentrate on NFTs a little bit more, well, a lot more. I was putting a huge amount of time into the space as a whole, like personally and as a kind of host or whatever. Yeah, it was just like it wasn't going to work then at that stage. For me, I was just like, right, I have to get back to get back to real life.
Yeah,
So
dude.
I wound my job back up, my in real life job back up, and so I've just been flat out busy since then. And recently, personally, I've just been like doing a bit of stuff with my Bodl project and a lot of kind of preparing for upcoming airdrops, keeping an eye on the game. I have a sheep, I have two sheep uh, canoodling at the moment, so trying to keep them
Nice.
protected and ride it out, like watch the game. I've played a few peak games and stuff like that, but focus at the moment in terms of crypto has mainly been on a lot of token based stuff and accumulation. Hoping I can diversify into NFTs soon, but it's just a different ball game after the hack for me. You know, I had to change my risk kind of tolerance.
When did you realize that you got hacked? I mean, was it right away?
Like straight away, yeah. Yeah.
Oh. So you were at your doctor's appointment. It happened.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you like fly home? What the?
As I realized, I got called into the office. So I'd been waiting a long time to talk to the doctor specialist. For like ear and nose and throat. So I just walked in and like was like, right, I have to just concentrate on this. And then when I got out, I looked back at Discord and like everyone was going fucking crazy and like, yeah, it was just fucked up.
Yeah. And then you got home and you went into your wallet and you're like,
yeah, just started doing kind of like damage control. Started like sending tokens out. They didn't get access to the actual tokens, but sure, I hadn't been claiming my wool, so didn't matter. There was, like I had different wallets for crypto, I suppose, but like most of my bags were NFTs, and that was my NFT wallet. That was the one I used to connect to all the different Discords so I could get access. So it just made sense. Like, it was so difficult to try to connect different wallets to different Discords or try and do anything like that. And like I'd admit one, so you wanted access to that Discord, like I was keeping it in the wallet that was connected to the Discord, and you know, so, it was crazy. That was just like a lapse. Like there was signs there, you know, but I was not paying full attention. And normally I was like distracted. I was thinking about something else. I pulled out Twitter and this chain of events, which is exactly what these scammers are trying to do. They're trying to target you at your most vulnerable. And it only takes one shot for them to catch. They have a net out the whole time. And it only takes one signature to fuck everything up, you know?
So that's what happened. You clicked the link. And I
minted it. I fucking signed a shitload. I was like, why is this not working? I haven't got the NFT in my wallet. Fuck. Have I got Signal? You know, yeah.
Jeez.
Fuck. And then it was brutal. Like, it was literally like a penny drop. Stomach sunk. Went in, checked the transactions, and like literally as I was doing it, the notifications started coming in on the Discord, like, and I was just like, "Oh fuck," you know. That was it. Like,
it's crazy. It's fucking the wild, wild west.
That and that's what it is, you know. Like
frustrated.
That's what this technology is, you know. That's why we can make the gains we can make at the moment, because it isn't. It's not safe.
It's getting better, but it's nowhere close to onboarding the masses. It's deflating, and obviously it's the financial end, yes, but it's more the emotional end, because it's like you pour so much energy into this space and you have such a strong belief, and then you literally get punched in the face, and it's like, holy goodness. In light of those past experiences, what advice would you give to the community to help safeguard those investments?
Ledgers, spread assets over wallets, have a vault.
When you say have a vault, that would be considered the ledger.
So you can have ledgers, like that's just to approve transactions physically, I guess. But to have a vault, that's a wallet that doesn't interact with any applications or decentralized applications. So you never connect it to anything at all. You've just sent assets to it, and you've sent them back out to then send to another, or to interact then. So a vault should never connect to OpenSea. It should never connect to like any application at all within Web3. So it can never be phished, you know, that way. Like the only thing you're doing is you're going into the wallet and sending coins or assets out of it using MetaMask. So
what would you say though? Yeah, I love that idea, and it's definitely an extra step. What about Wolf Game? Right, when you're playing Wolf Game, and I have my A7, I have my pouches that I want them to be in a vault. I don't want them to be touched. It's challenging because I'm hooking up every single day with my ledger and that wallet of Wolf Game assets, and it makes me uneasy, right? I mean, it's like, how do we safeguard that? I mean, Shep has delegates, right? You can delegate wallets.
So, like the way you could do that is like, but it still involves connecting to the Wolf Game. So like you could have a Wolf Game vault that connects to it, delegates to another wallet, and then you can do most actions that way. You can't do all actions. So, and then you'd have to store your wool in the whatever wool you want to use in the game. You'd be wanting to store it on the wallet that's the hot wallet, you know. So, but even just being aware of that and just trying to spread assets around wallets, so if one wallet gets phished, that's it. You know, it's not everything gone, because that's what happened to me was, you know, anything that was worth over 0.1 got just taken straight away, except for I had a Jupiter. No, I didn't have a Jupiter. I had a load of them. I had a Venus, and it was still worth kind of in and around mint price. So I think I was able to. It didn't get noticed or picked up because it just recognized it as a planet, and the floor price on planets or the offers on planets was such and such. So it didn't. The bot didn't recognize it because it was a 1120. You know.
So what would you say your outlook is on the future of Wolf Game?
Well, like I'm hoping it just continues to grow. The community continues to grow. We have more events, more like I'm waiting for merch season 2. You know, like those opportunities. That's what I'm excited about, for the community growing and for maybe the marketing machine to start picking up. That hasn't happened yet. I suppose that could segue into this kind of news we have, like, that's going around the Discord, I suppose, about the Pixel Vault involvement, or possibly a kind of Beanie linking the Shepherd with G-Funk kind of situation. To me, I don't like the idea of straight off the bat, but I guess we'll see where it goes. I was a Pixel Vault minter as well. Really enjoyed a huge amount of aspects, but I really wasn't impressed with how the whole Beanie situation was handled. People can have their opinions on him, but how they as a company reacted to it didn't impress me, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. I wasn't a huge holder of Pixel Vault assets then after I kind of got hacked and stuff, or not hacked, I got phished. I just kind of lost a lot of respect over that, and then they went zero on communications for a huge amount of time when they had been very, very vocal. So look, I know they're listening to the community now, and G-Funk's extremely vocal on Twitter. Might not agree with what he's saying a lot of the time, but it'll be interesting to see what sort of merger it would be, or what sort of aspects they'll be collaborating on. there can definitely be some really interesting texture there, you know, with the kind of economics and the understanding that the Shepherd has and the team with Wolfgame have for Pixel Vault. Like, I'd be more bullish on the Pixel Vault side of things, being involved in Wolfgame personally, but which might be a time to start shopping some PV assets.
Yeah,
Really, really good
they have a
people on their
very
team.
good team, which is
Yeah,
interesting. Have you heard much about this Goose Eggs guy? What did he?
I've been aware of him for quite a while. Yeah,
I was listening to a Spaces that was, I believe it was early June, and this Goose guy was on there. Very
I
unassuming,
remember
very
that. Was
just
that his
humble.
first Pixel Vault space where he was introduced?
No, it was probably, I don't know, maybe his second or third.
Okay.
But they kind of gave the stage to him, about his history in gaming, and he's talked about it prior to this.
Yeah.
But what really struck me was a quote. He said, "My idea of fun is demented." So I think that runs right in alignment with the Shep. And you know how like the Shep is, he can throw some different demented things in our way that, like when we talk about death, right? Yeah. And almost like a Game of Thrones type move where you fall in love with these characters and they end up dying brutally. So absolutely. I just thought it was very interesting. And I think that the downfall really humbled G-Funk.
I hope so.
I think he got ahead of his skis.
Yeah.
Right?
Made me lose a lot of faith in the whole team. And I had massive respect and have posted about VGF and how he inspired me to host the spaces for Wolfgame in a lot of ways, you know? Mm-hmm. And the way he managed the social media for Pixel Vault, and then they all went silent. And look, there might be legally reasons why things happened, but I don't know it. I wasn't told. It wasn't communicated. So for me, it was successive things that I wasn't impressed with. It wasn't good for the space. It wasn't good for the holders. It wasn't good for PV overall. The way they managed certain rebrandings as well, I was just like, that was really poorly done. Meta Heroes are now inhabitants.
Inhabitants, yeah.
But they waited until they shipped all the merch, and I think maybe the day it shipped and people started announcing that they had Meta Hero merchandise, they rebranded it to Inhabitants. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like there was a lot of poor decisions. I think Wolfgame handled stuff so much better, especially with their merch drop. Couldn't have been better. It was completely free with free postage, and you won it in the game. It is just
the quality of the quality
as well.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, I was in the Pixel Vault there for a long, long time. You know, it was a great place to be, and it went off track. They went quiet. There was a level of smugness that was just. It was hard to comprehend when Planet Mint had went so badly.
Right. What was the mint at for planets? Wasn't it crazy?
They were crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. You got to think that these planet holders are going to be rewarded.
But it wasn't even that. There was comic mints that were mismanaged when the community was screaming, saying that you're doing this wrong, and then it all got front run, and pretty much no one in the DAO got access to the comics, you know, that way, and the DAO token plunged in value straight away. Like it was just so mismanaged when, like, I mean, I'd say 50%, if not more, of the DAO was screaming for a different system of when they've proven they can do stuff so well, why do it badly? And there was only one reason: it was to let the old guard to take one last advantage swoop to clean up their market and suck as much out of PV. And that's what it seemed like to me. That's what it looked like happened. And with the whole beanie thing and the way G-Funk, I'll call people out, Tropo, Farmer, Hunter, etc., managed that, it just put all of them down in my estimation.
Really interesting. Man, do you think that they can make a comeback?
Probably. There's definitely been some serious in real life conversations with G-Funk and some massive players within the space. If he can learn from what's happened, if he can manage the greed of the people he's dealing with to not suck it out and to try and build something, yeah, absolutely. But I just don't know where his models are going. So I hope they're going in the right direction. If they're anything like Planet Mint, that's not the right direction.
I think he's learned from the past. At least I'm trying to have an optimistic opinion on it and view, and just...
Pixelfault is not just G-Funk. I know he's at the helm of it. Even Beanie just today tweeted about how he has a lot of respect for G-Funk and how he thinks he's really good for the job. I guess we'll see. They've definitely put money into the right people. But there's also there's some serious holders in Wolf Game. Like we have people from some big major games companies that are holders of Wolf Game, and they're head of the kind of new Web3 development. There's Wolf Game's definitely ahead in terms of the economics of a game on the blockchain. I think when you see the mistakes that Axie made and different things like that, Wolf Game's managed those dynamics so much better.
Going into our mystery question, all right? So if you could have dinner with 3 figures from the crypto and NFT space, who would they be and why?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Straight up, I'd have to say Beanie first on the list. Just, I'd love to sit down with a guy and just pick his brain.
And when you say pick his brain, does he have? So what's his? Is he a VC? What's his background?
From my knowledge, because I was aware of the allegations of him being a scammer before it kind of was in that thread and by NFT addicts and stuff. And I had done my due diligence and was happy enough that anything he'd done wouldn't have been scamming. He invested in plenty of projects that went tits up, they didn't work out well and they failed. That's absolutely fair enough, and he's always said that you only need the one project to be successful when you can cast a wide net and use your kind of experience, all that sort of stuff. There was a guy that tried to scapegoat him at one stage and blame him for things he had done with a certain token, which I can't recall the name of now. I'd have to go back and try to
it was an NFT project, right? Yep.
It was what?
Yep. It was an NFT project, right?
Oh no, this is going back before that. So this is this is to do with a crypto coin that was based out of Europe somewhere. And I'm pretty sure it was a privacy style coin, but from what I could see, the the guy that was running the project made off with a lot of the money and ended up then like trying to just scapegoat Beanie for it. There was Bloot, and
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah, that was like it was a take on Loot, which was a popular project at the time as well, which was just like little cards describing, like just giving you like a background character kind of information. It was ridiculous. Like I never invested into it. It ran up so quick and it fell faster. And Beanie tweeted that like he would make it his mission to involve Blue into everything he'd done thereforth, and then the market tanked from there because the liquidity was pulled from the pool. But there was a lot more people involved in it than him. He seemed to just bear the massive brunt of that, and like from the get-go, I was frustrated with how that like played out. I'd never invested in Blue. It didn't affect me at all. I thought that people were idiots buying the top on it at a few ETH or anything like that. So, it was just ridiculous. The community did explode. It was fun. Like, I seen a lot of people, like, using the token to create art and sell it. And, you know, same thing that is kind of happening around the Pepe community and that sort of stuff. That element was interesting when the token launch happened. But, there was a lot more people involved in it than just Beanie, yeah.
Sure. Interesting. So who would your number 2 be?
Number 2...
Would it be the Shep?
You see, yeah, well, he's anonymous, so like obviously the Shep would be number 1 because then you'd know who it is. But yeah, probably the Shepherd would be on the list. If we can include him, all right, yeah, definitely. So,
well, yeah, and you would you just couldn't tell a single soul, right?
Yeah, so that'd be entertaining to see the two of them there, especially if they have like a relationship previous.
Anybody on Twitter that you really like?
A lot of really cool people, like I'm all about like kind of. Just creating awkward situations sometimes to watch stuff happen, but I don't think I'd do it here because there'd be so much alpha in the room. For me, it'd actually probably be Benjamin Cowan. I'm following him for years on YouTube, and really have learned a lot about charts and kind of just the long term zooming out and that sort of stuff. So I'd probably go for him when it comes to crypto, just because again I could just talk for hours about where it's all going, and then with the Shepherd and Beanie in the room as well, it'd be great conversation. Yeah,
dude, and some whiskey involved too, I'm sure, right?
For sure, always whiskey, yeah.
Dude, I'll never forget the spaces that we had, and you were definitely overserved, and I was laughing my head off. Do you remember that?
Just about, yeah. I don't remember all of it, but I was. It was a late spaces for me. That was like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. me staying up, and I was getting very bored very quickly with listening to people, you know, go on. Yeah. You
reminded me of some of my American friends that are Irish. They're like, you know, after they've drank a handle of Jameson. Just the shit that comes out of their mouth. It's very funny. They like to pick on me because I'm a goon.
It feels better for them to like it as well. Wolf game or die. Let's go, Neil.
Let's go.
All set.
Wolf game or die.
So, like, it's CCO, so doesn't really matter about collabs. So the Shep can be the enigma he is, and such an amazing beast of fucking Web3 avatar. Like the Shep in fucking 20 years time, can you imagine? Anyway, get away from that. What I mean is, look, lost it. Go on, someone jump in.
No worries, man.
No. Anyways,
You ready, Za? So, what's up with this new Wolf game?
Fresh fuckers up there, though. Come on, Za. You and then some fresh people. Let's see some hands up.
Hold on, Neil. This is a serious question. Za, what's up with the new OpenSea page with the wool that's deployed by the Wolf Game deployer? Can you give us any info, brother? You think like maybe those farmers are like, I don't know, man. Shit. Neil, let's go. Come on, man. Let's go. You're gonna make me laugh again. Let's do it.
Yo, so you have the diamond maker and the candlestick maker, but like you're looking at
Hold on. Who's the candlestick maker? Who makes the candlesticks?
Look, anyway, my point is we're going back to Aesop's tables. Or sorry.
Aesop's fables. Aesop's fables.
Yeah. You need to take it all the way back. And I'll always bring shit back to that. I'm locked, drunk, whatever anyone wants to call it. I need to get off now. And good night. But Aesop's Fables, that's the shit that people want to be reading and looking at. And I'm 100% sure that the shit that's in Aesop's Fables relates to what we're going through now.
up here, that's for sure.
I think.
I think. Well, you know what? If I always thought, nothing would ever happen.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Neil, I want you to howl like a wolf before you leave us.
Yes, that is required. That's a requirement. Come on, Neil.
My
guy.
I don't
I love you, man.
I'll get one.
Do one more. One more. Come on.
So we better get a pull-up, man. Fucking Alpha 9 wolf howl right there.
Yeah, no, I definitely I enjoyed that night, and there was I had a lot of fun. That's what I remember. Yeah,
Stranger
but
would have it.
I would be just as happy to have dinner with any of the kind of Wolf Game community. I've looked at those events that are happening, and I'm kind of like the fun, the conversations, you know, the ideas spawned, everything within those situations, I say, was a huge amount. Or just the entertainment, like out of those dinners, watching Corey bid on a relic, you know, live, that sort of stuff is just crazy.
And not pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
There's a lot of
that's a
people
whole
that did
nother
it.
rabbit hole.
Yeah. But it's been a fun journey, like, you know, through Wolf Games. There's been great stories. I was glad I was able to document some of it here and there. It's great to see other people carry the torch. You know, it's just it's an awesome community to be involved in, you know.
So you have your own NFT project, correct?
That's right, yeah. I have my Bodl Founders editions, and then I've been having fun across chains lately. So Bodls were always for hodling. I launched them on the 4th of July, just over a year ago now. And so in 2022, right at the bottom of the ETH market, ETH was under $1,000 when I launched it.
Nice.
And yeah, it was fun. I wanted to get them out there, wanted to get them into people that were following me, hands. The plan's always just to hold them long term. I have some pretty cool stuff in the pipeline with whiskey, but whiskey takes a long time to age. So that's just the way it is.
You better be patient.
Yeah. Then when it came to the chains, I took my farmer PFP that I've been playing around with for a few years now and just adapted it and put it on different chains with different backgrounds that were kind of matching the chain. And yeah, like I'm farming the chains at the moment. So I was like, if people want to do TXs, you know, get that TX count up on different chains. Well, like let's let them mint some NFTs, you know. So like I've done it on 5 chains so far, 33 of each NFT on each chain, and then I have another 5 ready to go now, on another 5 chains. You know, I'm looking to see if I can do stuff with the metadata that if you send them around chains, I can kind of change aspects of the NFT. So maybe the background changes, but the PFP changes, it stays the same. And then if you switch it to another chain, it then changes again. But I'm not sure if I can do with the ones I've launched, but I definitely, that's something cool I'd love to do. That if you send them around chains, you can kind of like change the attributes of that one and they grow across the chains.
Interesting. And how did you come up with the idea?
From playing around with chains. From just like I've been kind of farming for airdrops the last while. That's how it came up before. So I'm hoping I can do the same again. Like I'm not farming across many wallets. I'd prefer to guarantee having 1 or 2 really good airdrops on active wallets than like trying to do 20 wallets or 100 wallets and them all get blocked or something like that, you know?
Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. The value that you've brought to this podcast and the Wolf Game community has been unbelievable, dude. And you've been an inspiration for me to create content and to continue to fight the good fight for Wolf Game. We hope that you will pick that torch back up again and either host some spaces or do something once a month, or, you know, even I know you're out in Ireland, might be hard to get to the States, but, you know, try to organize something. You know, that's what the community is all about. So
thanks very much, dude. And it's been a pleasure being on the podcast. Just great talking Wolf Game and getting back into, you know, thinking about things again, because it's lovely to just kind of look back over the whole experience, like, because it's been a wild ride, you know. But yeah, thanks very much for your nice comments as well. And yeah, I'll get back in hosting spaces when the time is right. I'll jump back in when I have something good to say.
Yeah, dude, I love it.